Like, where were you, Lucas, doing like Frozen-geddon?
Frozen-geddon?
Yeah, do you know like when Frozen was like the biggest thing on the planet for like 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Did it get you?
I mean, that's the thing is, I'm a Disney adult. I was probably running around singing Let It Go in Disneyland.
Like, you were in, right? You were deep in.
Yeah, I'm always in on Disney.
Yeah. I'm alright with Disney, but did you know they found like Disney branded merchandise at the literal bottom of the ocean? If you spend any time whatsoever online, you are likely familiar with the concept of microplastics and the fact that they can be found virtually everywhere on Earth. But all the focus on microplastics has distracted us from their literal bigger and badder cousin, macroplastics, which can similarly be found everywhere on Earth, including the bottom of the deepest, darkest part of the ocean.
Look, something shiny!
Where?
Oh, it just swam over the trench. Come on, we'll follow it.
Okay.
And finally, Lucas, while I was researching this one, I found a lot of articles that I'm going to just classify as the, oh, I guess we fucked kind of article. Like, do you know when you're like reading ones about climate change and they're just like scientists very matter-of-factly stating, yeah, the best time to figure it out so the world doesn't catch fire was like 50 years ago. And you look at the like article release and it was 3 years ago, and you're like, I guess we screwed. And I think like articles about microplastics fall into that category. So is there any like headlines about microplastics you're familiar with or have stuck out to you over the past couple of years?
Yeah, there was one floating around not long ago, in fact, that was like, oh, it turns out 100% of males tested had microplastics found inside of them.
Yeah. And when I said in the intro that microplastics have been found everywhere, I was not kidding. And an incomplete list of the various places they've been found that you would not expect include the lungs of newborn babies. Just that headline, right? We found microplastics in the lungs of newborn babies. Like, is that bad? That sounds pretty bad, right? The testicles of dogs. Don't know how they got there. They've also been found in virtually every product that we consume, from bottled water to every kind of protein. And when I say every kind of protein, I do include like plant-based proteins in that.
And you mentioned
fish, chicken, beef, pork, plant-based proteins. They've all got microplastics in there, which means that, yes, Hangover Big Mac, you have betrayed us.
And like, you know, you mentioned dogs' testicles. The one that I saw going around was just males' testicles.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like,
just right in the gonads.
I was trying to be coy about it by just saying males, but yeah, it's humans
in the
as well.
gonads. But no, that's just talking about like, you know, inside us and animals and the food that we consume, which includes animals, I suppose. They've also been found buried in the earth and, I shit you not, in the sky. Because some researchers went to the top of Mount Fuji and took like samples of the clouds, I presume with a big net. In my head, it's always a big net if you're a scientist. Like, all scientists do all their research with just big nets. They checked the clouds above Mount Fuji and found microplastics in them. And they're like, why are they in the clouds? How did they end up in the clouds?
I guess we've burned enough plastic that they're now just in the atmosphere.
Yeah, and you know, while it does sound kind of bad that the blood of newborn babies and the vitreous humour of our own eyes are near universally found to have microplastics in them, it does distract us from the fact that the thing we should be worried about, Lucas, is the macroplastics. Because, you know, plastic is coming at us from both sides. You got the mini, teeny, tiny baby plastics and the big old bits of macroplastic. And I should point out that macroplastic is a very nebulous term, and it can include anything from, I think it's like over 1 inch piece of just like plastic debris all the way up to a fridge.
Right, okay, so it's just anything bigger than a very small size.
Yes, and that goes from, like, you know, just a piece of a plastic bag that is, like, you know, just swimming around the ocean to, like I said, a fridge. And you might think, well, that's really stupid. How many random fridges are there just floating around the ocean? The answer is quite a lot. There's, like, this really, really harrowing video out there of, like, this company who, like, oh, yeah, all we do is just send out ships to fish up plastic waste. Here's an example of stuff that we found, and it's like, wait, what's that? And he says, that's a piece of a helicopter. We couldn't fish the entire thing out. There was just a helicopter we found. What's that? That's a fridge. That's a canoe. That's like just, you know, a toy.
Now, these are toilet seats. We also find a surprising number out there. Some more traffic cone. vacuum cleaner parts.
Oh,
Well, I mean, just how many shipwrecks are in the sea?
quite a few. Like, never forget there's that giant, floating puddle of, rubber ducks that's going around the ocean, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's something there's all sorts, because the ocean is real big. It's real big. And I realise now, this isn't as fun a topic as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, should we talk about Disney?
Because that's the thing. This is based on an article I researched years ago now, and I thought, oh, it's a fun fact that they found Disney merch at the bottom of the ocean. But when I researched it for the Fact Fiend script, it got way more depressing than I thought. It was just plastic is everywhere, and similarly to microplastics being found, in the humour of our own eyes and the blood of babies and the testicles of our pet dogs. Macroplastics are also found everywhere, to the point where they've sent researchers to uninhabited islands where no fucker lives. There's nobody there. They've dug through the sand and found Pepsi bottles.
And the thing is, Karl, you reeled me in by going, Lucas, do you want to talk about Disney today? And then you just opened up with a solid 5 minutes of just pure nihilism.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, great.
Yep. And this probably makes you think, right? Surely there are some places on Earth that are so inhospitable, so just remote, that plastic can't get there, right? Surely there's somewhere safe. The answer is no. Like I said, they found this shit in the clouds, which means, it's in the atmosphere, which means it basically ends up everywhere, because when the clouds move around with, atmospheric changes, they fall down, land everywhere from, the Arctic to the deserts. As mentioned, you're finding, big bits of plastic just on, random desert islands and stuff. They found shit inside of volcanoes, they found it inside of animals, they found it in the remotest jungles in the world. But perhaps the most harrowing example for me is when they were exploring the Mariana Trench. The deepest point in the ocean, when nothing goes except there's weird ass fish. Every now and again, it's here's a weird fish. And you're that's not a fish, that's an alien.
Yep.
Why is there an alien on my screen right now?
Straight up, anything you could think is the wildest creature imaginable. There's something worse at the bottom of the ocean.
There absolutely is, yes.
This unknown species of sea toad looks like something Dr. Seuss might have created. It was found under more than 4,500 feet of water. Behold the beady-eyed gaze of a squat lobster resting in coral about 2,200 feet below the surface.
So they sent a drone down there to be this is the first time humans are ever going to lay eyes on the literal bottom of the ocean. I wonder what we'll find. And they saw some cool fish, and they saw something shiny. Ooh, is that one of those bioluminescent fish? They go over, actually, no, what's that? Is that Elsa? Turns out, at the bottom of the ocean, they found a frozen branded balloon.
Oh my god. They're everywhere. Disney, you can't escape Disney, Karl. They're literally everywhere.
And that was sort of the joke I was going to make for the script of, you literally can't escape Disney. But then when I researched it, it just got way more depressing than that. And it's fucking everywhere, right?
And that's just where they're building the next Disneyland.
It is, yeah,
we just don't know it yet.
The Disneyland at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, which is the joke I was going to make, but then couldn't, because I was like, okay, I was going to Google, I'm going to find some amusing examples where they found microplastics. And when I just read, found in the vitreous humour of 90% of people's, tested eyes, and I just started looking at, that probably includes my eyes, right? Is there plastic in my eyes? Well, yeah, if you've used toothpaste or drank bottled water or eaten any sort of mass-produced processed food, there's probably a little bit in there.
Yeah. That's the thing is, it's depressing, but at the same time, part of my brain's yeah, but what's it gonna do?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those stories and headlines, unless I cut it earlier, I describe it as I guess we just fucked. Something say when you read stuff about climate change, and you have articles from a decade ago talking about how we're past the point of no return, and then you never heard about it.
Yeah.
And it's basically just the concept of shitting yourself in bed on the scale of all of humanity. Where people don't know what I mean by that. It's well, once you've shit in your bed, it doesn't matter how much shit actually ends up in your bed, because there's still shit in your bed. Right?
Yeah.
It's that thing we're already so fucked. It doesn't matter how much more fucked we're gonna be, because we can't possibly get any more fucked than we are now. And then you read the news like, oh, I guess we're more fucked than we thought initially. It's like, nah. And I do now realise a lot of people probably watch fact-themed videos for escapism.
Yeah.
Because I remember during the pandemic, Lucas, during the pandemic, like, things can't possibly get worse. And we got, like, a lot of, like, very, very appreciative feedback about, yeah, your videos are helping us get through some real rough times. And whenever I get feedback like that, I do pass it on to the members of the team, because it really does help to hear that. But this is just one of those things where it's so fascinating, I couldn't help but talk about it, because I'm like, why is it in the sky? Why is it, like, why is there plastic in dog testicles? Who's looking for this? Why did they find it? And why is it not something I was already aware? Because that sounds like I should, like, you know, the fact it's found in our own eyes, and I've never heard anyone talk about it, baffled me.
It's one of those things, right, where, like, take, for example, acid rain.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, I heard a lot about how concerning acid rain is, and I haven't heard about it in a long time, which to me says, not that we've done anything about it, just that it's become, like, just part of everyday life that we just don't talk about it anymore.
It's become part of the fabric of life, right? And
We better stay inside, at least until the squirrels stop melting.
I think a lot of this has to do with branding. And Lucas, are you familiar with the idea of wet bulb temperature?
No?
So basically, it's just you take the temperature with a thermometer and you put like a wet blanket over it. And it's used to measure like relative humidity. And it doesn't sound that scary, right? It sounds kind of funny, wet bulb, right?
I guess, yeah.
It mentions here, even heat-adapted people cannot carry out normal outdoor activities past a wet bulb temperature of 32 degrees Celsius or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is equivalent to a heat index of 55 degrees C. And it's like, you'll see it on the news sometimes of, okay, the wet bulb temperature is like 33 degrees Celsius or, like, 90 odd degrees Fahrenheit for Americans. And you'll see that in the news of people making fun of it, of like, that's not that hot. It's like, it's not that hot comparatively, but because of the humidity, it means you basically cannot do anything.
Huber says it would take several hours at a wet bulb temperature of 95 degrees Fahrenheit to cause serious problems. But some scientists argue the threshold is even lower.
It's basically past the point where humans are able to function. And this is a temperature which we are continually exceeding in, the summer months. There's going to be times where just you cannot do anything. This is real bad.
So for anyone that didn't hear that properly, is that saying it's more like, it's like 50-something degrees Celsius but full humidity?
Yes.
Because people are going to be in the comments already like, I can still function at 33 degrees Celsius. It's like, no, like the equivalent of 33 degrees in full humidity.
Yes. And that's why it's often one of the things. And you'll see news agencies and stuff report that the wet bulb temperature is like 33 degrees. This is real bad. And you'll have people like you just said there, like, well, it's not that hot. It's like, I don't think you're fathoming just how punishing that is to try and exist in, let alone move around. It's like, it's branding. It doesn't sound scary. Another thing, acid rain sounded scary, and no fucker cared about that. So I don't know how they could make it scarier.
Because that sounds terrifying.
It's like, when you look at the map, and you see, like, here's the heat temperature for, like, today's, like, heat wave, and it's all red.
Yeah.
And you look at that, and it's like, just the entire map is red. And then you go on Twitter, which is never a good idea. There's a bunch of people saying it's not that bad.
And then you look at it, and it's like, oh, so, that's another record-breaking summer heat wave. And we've had record-breaking summer heat waves for the past 8 years on the bounce, and it is getting progressively worse and worse.
And it's like, people are melting, like they're running out of wind. Like, Calypsos just melt as soon as you pull them out of the packet, and it's like, but it's fine, don't matter. And I think it's branding. And like I said, it's one of those things, it's emblematic of just the inherent nihilism we all have when, just interacting with the world in which we live now, which is a great place to end it And this is weird, right? Normally, as I said, Fact Fiend videos are a bit funnier, but this is a topic that I found fascinating, which ultimately is what Fact Fiend exists to do. To share topics I genuinely find interesting.
Is it, Karl? Because I got told I was talking about Disney today.
We mentioned Disney, right?
We did.
We did.
I just got, like, hook, line, and sinkered by Karl.
Well, here's the thing. If people would like to see us just talk about Disney, if you need a palate cleanser after everything we've discussed, myself and Lucas run a second channel called Wiki Weekends, which is altogether more, we're not going to say casual, we're just going to say we don't delve into topics as heavy as this.
There's occasional time.
On occasion we
do,
yeah.
Common.
But when we say we're talking about Disney, we're probably going to talk about Disney, not the fact the world is fucked. The world is fucked and it's cooked.
I mean, that's true. We did recently talk about Inside Out, the first movie.
Yes. And I think the second one has grossed like $1 billion, right? So presumably there'll be merch for that at the bottom of the ocean in the next 10 years.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's just what gets me. It's the fact that it was a balloon from Frozen. And the thing, they did this study like 10 years after the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is, well, the scientists recognised it on site as well, which I think is also just emblematic of another problem. Right? Just like how ubiquitous Disney's marketing is, that like a scientist exploring the deepest parts of the ocean on site recognised a piece of Frozen merch covered in like silt and stuff at the bottom of the ocean, obscured by all of the just the pressure and stuff. And the fact that it survived that pressure. Do they talk about if you got to the bottom of the ocean, you detonate instantly? But then there's like just a Disney balloon down there and it's fine. It's a balloon. A balloon. The last place you expect to find a balloon is under the ground, I'm going to be honest. That's not what I think balloons do. When I think balloon, the behaviour I ascribe to a balloon is not being underwater.
No, it's to, like, fly away from children as they don't realise they've let go of the balloon, right?
Like in Spider-Man 2, and it's like, no, my balloon. It's terrible. But yeah, if you would like to follow myself and Lucas elsewhere, you can follow the links to Wiki Weekends found below. You can subscribe to this channel. I'll be making a new Fact Fiend video each and every week on, again, a subject I personally find interesting. Mostly that will be comic books and stuff like that, but this is just one where it was my first week back, and I think I was still a little bit, like, just the stressors of what caused me to, like, take that break initially was still, like, inside somewhere. Because I wrote this one very sarcastically. And this was a script that I wrote of like, fuck you, fuck yeah. I was not in the best mood when I wrote the script, but I'm in a great mood now. So that's why Fact Fiend will be continuing and it's coming back. So cheers for watching, everybody. Hopefully next time will be a little less depressing.
Hope so.